If you ask me, I'm a skeptic when it comes to ghosts. I don't see enough evidence and I'm not totally convinced. However, last month, I was helping my sister move house. It was a large Victorian-era house in a location I'm not willing to disclose, but the area was very nice. We were in the master room when I heard 3 sharp claps. I looked up as I was sure it had come from above. The attic. My sister looked at me with a horrified gaze and then I heard 2 steps of footsteps, small, like children, run across the floor above. I looked panicked at my sister, who actually had tears welling in her eyes. I was about to ask her what it was when I heard heavy, adult footsteps traipse across the floor. I honestly believe I could also hear what sounded like a man muttering to himself. I was actually unnerved and suddenly, a very loud thud that sounded like a box full of wood being dropped from chest height. My sister's face flinched and tears ran down her face. The drop was so forceful that the ceiling light was moving from side to side like in the movies. I asked her what in all that is holy it was and she began vigorously shaking her head. I said I'd go and check it out and she let out a yelp of fear and panic that made me think twice. I told her to wait in the room and that I'd be 2 minutes. I went into the hallway and stood under the attic stairs, my ears twitching for any noise. Silent. As silent as loneliness, and a deep feeling of dread filled the air like fog. I reached out a shaking hand and pulled down the stairs. They broke the silence and spilled down, thundering like a train. I looked into the darkness. I was staring into the void itself, my mind in overdrive, about to crash, draining my every essence. I gingerly climbed the stairs, each step clinging and clanking, making me flinch like my sister had moments ago. I reached the top and held an arm into the darkness. It disappeared as I felt for the light string. I pulled it and the light buzzed into life. The attic was empty. I mean, entirely empty. Of boxes, furniture, or people. I stood there for a minute, catching my breath, and climbed back down. I went into the bedroom and my sister asked, "Nothing?" "Nothing," I echoed. She looked at me and calmly said, "This is why we are moving." This happened to me around 2 years ago. My brother and I had always been potheads and smoked weed since we were in our young teens. When I was 19, we saved enough money to travel to the Holy Grail for weed smokers, Amsterdam. We were only going for the weekend. We had booked flights on the internet and planned to find one of the many hostels to stay in. We flew out on the Friday with a return flight booked the following Monday and we had around $1,000 to spend. As soon as we touched down, we collected our luggage and headed off to the city centre in a cab. The drive was around 25 minutes and we were dropped off right next to a busy cycle lane at around 2 p.m. We found a small, relatively cheap hotel, quite quick, and paid about €65 for 2 nights. We put our bags and belongings in our room, waited to use the shared bathroom and made our way to a coffee shop. We sat smoking bud for around an hour and started chatting to some Dutch guys. We were pretty high at this point and the Dutch guys were saying we should try some shrooms. They offered some out and we had around 3.5 grams of dried shrooms each. Around 20 minutes later, everything went funny. Everything was vivid and colourful. At first I quite enjoyed it. It was an experience to say the least. Things took a turn though when my vision went funny. I could see everything but at the same time I couldn't. It's hard to explain. I was in my own world. It's hard to explain what happened from here. I remember the Dutch guys asking us to go back to theirs. The next thing I knew, I awoke in a hospital bed wearing nothing but a gown. I was told it was Wednesday and I had been found after a police raid in a house in Amsterdam. When I asked why the house had been raided, what I was told has struck fear into me to this very day. The house was raided as part of a crackdown on organ harvesters in the area, as in people who steal organs to sell on the black market. Apparently, when I was found, I was undressed and under anaesthetic. They said if they would have come just 10 minutes later, I probably wouldn't have been so lucky. The Dutch guys who we were with were apparently there to lure unexpected tourists to the house. I was told that some people had been arrested. My brother was found in the same situation but had come round before me. He was not placed under anaesthetic when they found him, but heavily under the influence of drugs. Various tests showed that these included ecstasy, coke, and the date rape drug, Rohypnol. We spent the next 2 days speaking to the police and arranging a new return flight. We contacted our parents who, of course, were very worried and finally flew home that Friday night. Around 6 months later, we found out the arrested men had been found guilty of harvesting 12 people's organs. This was just the people they had sufficient evidence for, and estimates ranged as high as 1,000 people. Apparently this was quite a slick operation, excuse the pun, making a lot of money. I often think how this could have affected me, and I know I won't be travelling to Europe again anytime soon. Hey guys, 2 creepy stories. One of those was meant to be on the True Drugs Trip story, but my laptop's actually broke recently, so I've not been commenting on too many videos, and it's put everything back a little bit, so I thought I'd throw it in here with this kind of ghost story as well. Keep your eyes peeled for the 100 subscribers special, which should be up tomorrow, if I can just get everything done in time. So remember to like this video, subscribe for more, and comment if you have any ideas for more. Thanks very much guys, peace.